Hey Trails Collective, Ian here for the weekly rundown of what's been shaking in the Northeast trail running scene for the week ending September 10th, 2021. Another busy week on this end, going right into another race. I put on the Ithaca Half Marathon this past weekend. We had a beautiful day and it was just great to be able to come together again. I think we had roughly 600 runners or so, which is maybe about 50% of what we typically have in a non-COVID year. But everything seemed to go pretty smoothly, and again, it was just great to be out there. So this weekend, going into the Virgil Crest Ultras. Virgil Crest was one of my first as an RD. I think when I first started putting it on, we were maybe like the 22nd or 23rd 100 in the country or something to that effect. Ran it for 8 or 9 years, and then honestly was just tired. Needed a break, put it to bed for a bit. COVID made me a bit sentimental, I think, in that year, and we've had a number of people that wanted one more crack at it that didn't get a chance to finish, as many didn't at Virgil Crest, and so we're going to give it another go this year. So it's coming up and on deck here in just a few days. I put a cap on it around 250. We're going in with 258, I think, at the moment, so we've got a pretty good field, and it ranges from 50K up through 100 mile, and it is a tough course. 100 mile has, I don't know, depending on what you run it through, I think Strava has it as maybe 24,600 feet of gain. Some of the others maybe in the 23 range. The 50 mile has half of that. So it is a tough course, a lot of climbing. Historically, we had some heavy rain during some of the years, which made the finish rate pretty low. But what also sets it apart is it's just really runnable terrain compared to many areas, I guess, in New England or Rocksylvania or Catskills, Adirondacks, Whites, probably some similarities in some of the events that run in Vermont. It's just fairly runnable footing. Yeah, so that's what I guess makes it unique, the amount of gain without the technicality, and we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to it. All right, so let's get into it. I've got some of, as usual, some of the races where registrations are about to cap out. So just a heads up for you to get on it right now. We've got a couple FKTs on the week. We've got one voice in from one of those FKTs that was set. And we have a number of results from this past week with voices in from several of those, or a handful of those. And then we will take you out with some of the upcoming races this weekend. All right. Sometimes I'll start in with media. I'm just too busy to process any media this week. Let's get into the hot list. So in Connecticut, Forgotten Forest 9-hour Ultra runs September 18th, coming right up. It's up 2% to being 98% full, with only one spot remaining as of when I checked it this past Sunday night. So that may be, could be closed by now. New Jersey, Sasquatch Running's last squat standing is somewhere between open and 100% full, depending on how you look at it. With room left in the PM start edition and only 5 spots remaining for the AM. And I believe that runs October 18th or something to that effect. And in New York, Tesla Hertz 100K distance running October 9th in Rocky Point, New York is up 3% to being 96% full, so closing in. And the other distances, I believe, for Tesla have closed out. And that is also an all-comers, great one for beginners as well. I think they use a 10-mile loop. Also really runnable terrain, fairly mild or very little elevation gain. So check that out if interested. All right, few FKTs of the week. In New Jersey, Justin Kowski, frequent flyer in the FKT board, 7 hours, 6 minutes for the 37-mile beautiful and sometimes rugged Wenatchee Traverse. In New York, we had 2, at least that were posted up on the FKT site. Timmy Zhao, he got in 12 Central Park loops in 18 hours, 7 minutes for a series I think that they're running. And then a pretty big effort. Sara Actually, I haven't actually heard it pronounced yet, or I'm about to meet you this weekend, I think. But Sara Niccoli, if I pronounced that right, Niccoli, 2 days, 8 hours, 39 minutes for the 142-mile, oh-so-beautiful Northville Lake Placid Trail. Gained 17,000 feet over some sometimes quite rugged feet, and it is absolutely stunning, taking you through the Adirondacks there. But I was able to check in with Sara, who followed up with a clip, and we will plug it now. So Sara, to take us into the Northville Lake Placid Trail and FKT.
Thank you, Ian, for the opportunity to talk about my FKT on the Northville Placid Trail. It was actually my third attempt at the trail, so this is something I've been working on for a while. The MPT runs 142 miles between the Arch in Northville and the train station in Lake Placid, New York. It bisects the Adirondack Park and is very typical of Adirondack lowland hiking. It's very rooty, rocky, muddy, tons of blowdown. It's the trail stewards do an amazing job of taking care of this trail, but it's in very deep wilderness. So you're just not. This is not a trail that is makes it easy for you to run. Makes it you gets out of its way for you. It is there for you to tackle, and you're going to have to give it some respect. So a lot of it is runnable actually, but you're also going to be scrambling around and blow down in mud, and that's just the way it is. My experience on the trail was I had started backpacking it several years ago in sections. I was almost done with that. I got it in my head last October that I wanted to go for the FKT on it because there had been no solo unsupported record for women. And I just knew I could do that. I didn't know how fast I could do it, but I knew I could do it. My first time out, I had an emergency at home and had to get back to my daughter after about 40 miles. My second time was in June, this past June, when I made it 107 miles in and hit a big storm, lots of lightning. I got scared and I quit. And just looking back on that, there were different things that I could do. So it was a really good learning experience. My strategy for this run was in terms of nutrition. I based it on Herman Poncer as a evolutionary biologist who does metabolic research, and he posits that you can't really use much more than 2.5 times your basal metabolic rate per day. So anything else is kind of like carrying extra. I tested that out in the field and that works great for me. I don't know if it will work for everyone, but it works fantastically well for me. That's what I carried, plus about 800 extra calories just to give myself some cushion. And I came home with like about 800 extra calories. So it worked great. My sleep strategy was to run through, my goal time was 60 hours. So my sleep strategy was to run through the entire first day, first night, second day, and then make it into the second night as long as I could. I did that. I made it till about 11 o'clock on the second night, set my alarm for an hour and 15 minutes, for an hour, and then I snoozed for 15 minutes. And got up, was okay. I was good. I felt refreshed, but that kind of faded. And about an hour before dawn, I slept again for 20 minutes, and that was a miracle. I don't know why, but that 20 minutes was what I needed. My gear strategy was just I carried very little. I had a quilt. I had my emergency bivy. My first aid kit was really mostly just foot care stuff, which I really needed. My feet were wet from the beginning, and one of the biggest issues I dealt with was macerated feet. And like headlamp, my phone, not very much. I just carried the very bare essentials. The run played out amazingly well. For my pacing strategy this time was to give myself to lay it out so that I could run as easy as possible in the beginning, but still give myself a good cushion for drop off, because the last time I attempted, one of my big issues was dealing with anxiety around not making the time, because I just felt I just didn't have enough. I didn't anticipate enough drop off in my pacing between mile 0 to 150 to mile 50 to 100 to the end. So I planned for drop off, and that just it gave me a huge amount of confidence the whole time through. I was always ahead, and I knew that if I started to fall apart a little, there was still some cushion. And I didn't, it was like, I didn't fall apart. It was just they came together wonderfully. My brain did need a lot of coaxing after about mile 80. I was definitely hallucinating. It wasn't just, one-off things. Basically, anything I saw up was my brain was like making a landscape of houses and buildings and cars. And if I looked down on the trail, all good. So I just kept my head down on the trail. Other than that, no big hitches. My stomach went off a little bit, took some Tums, kept going. I made it to West Stony Brook Creek, which is 8 miles out, and I was just so happy, just so filled with joy. I knew I was going to make it. Ran that last 5 miles, which was kind of soul crushing. There's some vert there, which after 141 miles is rough. And was able to run into town, get picked up by my friend Andy Reynolds, who had fast packed the trail with me, and just I have so much gratitude for some running friends showed up, and it was just an amazing moment. If anybody is interested in running this trail, and I am thrilled to help you beat this FKT. It definitely has room, and I just it was such a fun experience. I would love to share what I know, and so don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.
So congrats, Sarah. You had chipped away at it, I think, a couple times, and you finally got it dialed. So great job. All right, so getting into some results. The Webster Trail Classic went down. Put on by TrailsRoc, combines 3 of the highlight loops in the Rochester area. Chris Compson threw down for the 10-mile win in 1 hour 17 minutes, 6 minutes off his own course record from 2018, but still pretty solid. And Katie Fitzpatrick in for the women's win in 1:37. And the 3.5 miler, my old college teammate, Garrett the Stallion Wagner, nabbed the overall win in 28:06. And Kristen Nagel for the women in 30:07. And Kristen established a new women's course record for that effort. And here to take us deeper into the WTC is men's course record holder and this year's winner, Chris Compson.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Compson. I'm the head cross country and track coach for Pittsburgh Mendon. But I'm here today to talk about the fantastic Webster Trail Classic, an amazing trail race event put on by the TrailsRoc group out of Rochester and race directed by Eric Egan. It is a phenomenal event that took place this past weekend, and it's everything that is wonderful about trail running and trail races. If you're looking for fancy finishers medals and t-shirts and post-race parties and bands on course and the rock and roll feel, this is probably not the event for you. But if you're looking for a tremendous event that runs through 3 beautiful and pristine parks in the greater Rochester area, and that's done by a group that, if you are familiar with TrailsRoc, you know everything they do is done exceptionally well and for the right reasons, with 100% of the proceeds from this race being put back into the parks and the maintenance of the parks and the trail cleanup and the preservation of these green spaces that we have. It's an amazing event. I highly encourage people to take a look at it. Just as long as you're not too fast, because it's nice to get out there and have a crack at the win, which I was lucky enough to do this past weekend for the second time. The race is tremendous. It runs through 3 different parks, starting out in Webster Park, and then moving into the Whiting Nature Preserve area, and then finishing up with the Gosnell preservation space. And there are a number of old growth forest that you pass through. It has a little bit of everything for everyone. Single track, little bit of climbing, a lot of routes, some open spaces where you can really get rolling. And the times that I have run it in 2018 and then again this past weekend, it's been a picture perfect day. So I think Eric must know something with scheduling, because it never fails that race is run on just a tremendous day. And it's a great way to spend your Saturday morning. There is a 10-mile race and then a 3.5-mile option as well. The 10-mile race takes you through all three of those parks and in a big looping fashion. And it's not a course that's going to beat you up. It doesn't have 17,000 feet of elevation gain. It doesn't cover, 35 to 75 to 105 miles. But it gives you a great opportunity to get out and test those trail legs. For me this year, I was coming off an injury, and it was the perfect race to kind of get back in the saddle and get things rolling again. It worked out in my favor that I was able to come away with the win and get that first ceremonial high five from Eric at the finish line, which I assure you is better than any shiny metal object that you might bring home and hang over the mantelpiece, or put in a shoebox that goes in the basement. So it's a tremendous event. I can't speak highly enough of it. And if you're not able to run the Webster Trail Classic, look at all the other great races that TrailsRoc and the other trail running organizations put on. We are so privileged in the greater Rochester area to have these pristine spaces and to have groups like TrailsRoc that are doing it right, that are taking care of these areas, that are putting time, effort, and funding back into maintaining these areas, that are not just rolling out thousands of people through trails and walking away. These guys and ladies, live and breathe these trails, and I couldn't be happier than to go out and run any of their races to support their efforts. And when you get to run relatively quick and come away with a win, it's always icing on the cake. But the Webster Trail Classic, great event, and hope everybody is happy and healthy. Happy running.
So congrats, Chris, and thanks for that clip. One of the highest profile and run stud laced events of the year went down this weekend in Salisbury, Maryland, in the form of Leyla's Cupcake Run. Given it draws out some of the top budding talent in the nation and hoping to have scouts given first dibs, it appears the results are thus far confidential and may remain so. We were, however, lucky to score this leaked clip of Leyla's Cupcake Run.
Hello, Trails Collective, and greetings from Delmarva. We're here with Leyla. Leyla, how are you?
Good.
Leyla, what do you have there? What did you create?
We created the Cupcake Run.
It's a trail run called the Cupcake Run for kids. How old?
12 and under.
And you created this 2 years ago, and last year you didn't have it, but this year you had it again, and it's a 4-kilometer race, and they also have an option for shorter distance. How far is that?
1 mile.
1 mile. Did you do the 4K or the 1 mile?
4K.
Excellent. And I heard that you ran with a friend the whole time. Is that right? What promise did you make your friend?
To never, leave her behind.
Excellent. And there were 2 winners. Do you remember the winners for the boys and the girls?
Mm-hmm.
Who won for the guys?
Boots.
Boots DeCarlo. Was he fast? Blazing fast. And for the girls, do you remember who won for the girls?
Sydney.
Matiko. And are they both your friends?
Mm-hmm.
But you had more than just your friends, right? How many kids showed up there?
75.
And they all ran on the trails? And did you guys have fun? What were the 3 things that the kids loved the most about getting out and doing the Leyla Cupcake Run?
It was, I think everybody really liked these customized lunch boxes, which my dad thought was a really good idea.
Because they're kind of old school, right? Kind of like your dad.
Yeah. And since school's starting, it has lots of things in it.
That's some cool swag right there.
We have a magnet, a sticker, a cupcake that has like, since it's for school, you have like eraser and stuff. Crayons. We have, to be really nice, we have postcards that has like hospitals, so kids that have cancer can get a little note that says, I was thinking of you, and stuff like that.
So that was nice. So everybody got a postcard that they could write to a kid that wasn't able to come and run.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So that was one of the good ideas. What else did you come up with?
We came up with, my mom thought of just like throwing powder at everybody after they go on the race. And I really think the little kids, like decorating the bibs and going through, we had a tiny little rainbow that
A little arch?
kids could go down.
Oh, that's right. The little arch under the big arch. That is awesome. Now on the trails itself, what did you like the most about the trails, running the trails?
Probably like the little shortcut and how you get to like name the trails and the open fields with the long tower thing.
Excellent. I heard you named a few of the trails out there, didn't you? Can you tell us two of the names?
So one is like kind of like a shortcut, but not really, and it's called Burnt Cupcake.
Burnt Cupcake.
And the main road that you mostly go through is called Frosting Road.
Frosting Road. That is awesome. Well, Leyla, I'm excited that you were able to get all your friends out and run and get them out. And the whole purpose was to get young people enjoying the trails. So thank you for that. And I hope you're doing it again. Is there going to be another Leyla Cupcake run next year?
Probably, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.
All right. Well done. Well done, indeed. One that was classic that ran in Damascus, Virginia, Iron Mountain. It did shake out this weekend. No results were yet listed, so maybe I can check back in for next week and stalk a few finishers in between. The Dirty Dozen 50K ran in New York, New York. It's achieved in running 12 hilly loops in Forest Park. It's a wonderful gem, a couple miles northeast of Brooklyn. Victor Rivera earned the overall win in 5:03 with Shanna Baristo, securing the second fastest women's time in event history with a women's win in 5:14. And the J Peak Ultra Trail Race went down. They have a historically 11 and 22 as well as a 53.1, 11 and 22 mile as well as 53.1K option. And I ranked it the toughest 50K in the Northeast on the Trails Collective rankings. I checked in with no avail, unfortunately with Sub 5 Racing, who puts it on, but I'm pretty sure it did run. But we'll check back for next week as it's a tough course, and it'd be good to hear how it shook out and a little bit on that course. All right, another one that went down in PA, the Labor Pain 12-hour put on by Pretzel City Sports. Brian Weist of Wallingford took home the win for the most miles per dollar with 70 miles completed, with Stephanie Kirshner for the women with 62.1 miles run. And I was able to check in with Helene Horn, who got me this clip back in on labor pains from she and her husband, Ron Horn.
Well, it's Tuesday, September 7th, and I'm glad to say the 12th annual Labor Pain 12-hour endurance trail run is in the books. It was quite a day, returning to its original course. Last year, it had to be relocated to another area and was held as a 4-mile trail run that you did for 10 hours. This year, it came back to its original course that we used for the first 10 years, a 5-mile course with some ups and downs, rocks and roots, and all the things you would expect in a trail run. The winner of our run was Brian Weist of Wallingford, Pennsylvania. He managed to get in 14 laps, or 70 miles, in the time that he had allotted. And our female winner, who happened to actually finish second overall, was Stephanie Kirshner of Hamburg, Pennsylvania, who managed to just get in 100K before the clock turned to 12 hours. Both did an outstanding job. The day started perfect for ultra running. with clouds, a little sun, and the temperature is actually between 60 and 65. That lasted all of about 5 minutes after we said go. For the next hour and a half, we had very, very light to moderate at best rain, but that actually made the course a lot more interesting. It then cleared up and was hardly a problem the rest of the day. Many of the runners said that they actually preferred it because it cooled them off. And actually, 10 of the 12 hours in the run was conducted in temperatures between 65 and 70. The rain did make for a few areas of the course to be a little muddy, but everyone said that actually added to the ambiance of the course, did not detract from it. We have another ultra coming up next year. It is the ultra that was created when we had to actually relocate and revise the labor pains of 2020. That is the April Foolish Run, which is a 10-hour trail run with a 4-mile loop in French Creek State Park, and that will be held on April 9th, 2020. That proved to be very popular because it was about 50% road, 50% trail, versus the labor pains, which is about 95% trail. Other races coming up for the trail advocates on October 17th is the Evansburg Challenge, which is a 10-mile and 7K trail run. That is in Evansburg State Park near Collegeville. And also on December 5th is our traditional Dirty Bird 15K and 30K, where you do 1 or 2 loops of a 15K course with awards in both. The Evansburg race is a point scoring race for the USA Track and Field Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Series. And if you check www.pretzelcitysports.com later on this year, you will see also that we have trail runs in January, February, and March of next year. We continue to have some of the best and well-attended trail runs in the East Coast. And if you haven't done one of our trail runs, they are rustic trails. They are not rail trails. You will get excellent workouts at a distance much shorter than you thought you could get an excellent workout at. So that's it from Pretzel City Sports here, our intergalactical headquarters in Reading, Pennsylvania. Check www.pretzelcitysports.com for more information on our events.
So great job. I've yet to make it down to Pretzel City Sports events, but I've been hearing about them for the past 15 years. I grew up in that relative neck of the woods, and at some point I really need to make it back down there while Ron and Helene are still at the helm, but I've yet to do so. But I've only heard really great things about their community and events. They just sound like a lot of fun. So I got to make it happen. All right, back down to Virginia. The Virginia Happy Trail running club's The Ring. It is a community cult classic. It's a 71-mile tour of the Massanutten Trail surrounding Fort Valley, Virginia. Here to take us deeper into this gem are Fellowship of the Ring members Barret, Stanton, and if in time for this week, Travis Bertram.
Hey, my name is Barret. Ian wanted me to talk to you guys and tell you a little bit about this race that I just ran this past weekend called The Ring. So The Ring is a 71-mile loop course through the Massanutten Mountains in western Virginia, not West Virginia. It follows the Orange Blaze Massanutten Mountain Trail, so that's pretty cool how you only have to follow one blaze for the entire run. It is pretty much all single track. I think only 2 of the 71 miles were on gravel roads. So I'm really into that, and I'm sure everybody else is. But within that single track, the rocks, I think, is one of like the toughest challenges, and just like the actual terrain. There's a lot of exposed rock, and throughout the entire course, it's going to vary depending on where you are. So in some sections you might have big slabs, and in others you might just have, I don't know, fat cobbles that are trying to roll your ankles. But I think we're all into that kind of stuff. Overall, in the 71 miles, you get in about 13,000 feet of vertical gain, and a lot of that comes from just kind of punchy ups and downs since you are riding the ridgeline for a lot of the race. And there are a handful of climbs that are about 1,000 to 1,500 feet. Yeah, but going back to the ridgeline, it is phenomenal. Just being able to look out to the east and see like Shenandoah, and then looking out to the other side and seeing West Virginia and all the mountains that they have, it's pretty spectacular. Other than that, let's see. It takes place Labor Day weekend, so it is a hot race usually, and this year was a little different. We had a little dip in temperatures, so it ranged from like 55 to 80. It might have gotten a little hotter than 80, but we were very lucky. Let's see, the cutoff time is about, I think, 28 hours they give you, so it's a generous cutoff. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it about the actual course itself, but the race is such a great time. I do say come out and run it. It's put on by Virginia Happy Trails Running Club, which is such a spectacular club, a great community, just about people getting out and moving through mountains and having a good time with it. They also do something that I really love, which is host like fat ass races, so you don't have to pay for them, and I'm all into that kind of stuff. They have a number of other races that aren't fat ass races where you do have to pay, that are kind of like bigger name, like the Massanutten Mountain 100. I think there's a couple more that you do pay for, but for the most part, pretty much all of their races are free entry, which is awesome. In just a few weeks, they have Big Schloss 50K coming up, which is ran out in Wardensville, West Virginia, and that is a spectacular race, too. So, yeah, go check it out. Go run the ring in 2022. Do it.
So well done, fellas down there. And it also seems like the ring would be a great one to partake in at some point. And then looking international. Mountain Worlds, the international, or the World Mountain Running Championships, rather, went down in the Stubai Valley of Austria. And to take us deeper into Worlds is New England's own Suzy West.
Hi, I'm Suzy West, and I'm in Telfs, Austria for the World Masters Mountain Running Championship, which was run on September 4th this year. This year, we ran a 7.4 kilometer all uphill race with 2,400 feet of gain. So I've traveled here from Vermont to run these races, which I've run for several years now. I've also run in the regular World Championships back in the early 2000s. And it's a great excuse to travel. My experience mountain running is doing the New England Mountain Running Series. Not every race, but several of the races, and every year I run Mount Washington. So the course this year for my class, which was all women and men 55 and older in 5-year increments, was all up on mostly gravel road and trail to the summit of the mountain. And what's really unique about this course is it sort of switchbacks up, so you can watch the people ahead of you and you can watch the people behind you, which is great for knowing how fast you should be running. One of the great things about the World Masters Mountain Running Championships is the camaraderie. Every year, a lot of the same runners show up, and you get to make friends with these folks. Sometimes you maintain those friendships throughout the year, and it's just great talking with different people and learning what their running experiences are in their home countries. And one of the neat things about this course and many of the courses is we're running through working farms. And so this year there were actually cows on the trail that some runners had to go around. Fortunately, when I came through, they were sitting on the side of the trail, literally just lying down on the side of the trail. The other neat thing is in the winter, these hillsides are ski areas. And with many lifts, sometimes owned by the farmers themselves, going up partway or all the way up to the top of the mountain. In this case, there was a gondola that ran all the way up to the top of the mountain. So when we finished the race, we rode the gondola back down. And next year we will be running in Care, Ireland. The course is a little bit different there because they don't have the mountains. It'll be an up-down year, sort of a rugged cross-country course. And I urge you to join us. We don't get that many runners from the US, and we'd love to fill up teams. So please look into it and join us next year in Ireland.
So great job representing Suzy, and thanks for that clip in. It looks just in the backdrop of your clip there like it is just absolutely spectacular. I guess like I'd hope and envision Austria to be. So that's awesome, and thanks for reporting back in. Congrats. And then UTMB went down, what is it, a week or two ago now? I was checking in around that time with Thomas McNerney about just his experience out there. And they put together a bit more formal video, and I just got it in this week. So Thomas, thanks for getting it over. And so we will plug it in here. Thomas McNerney on UTMB.
Hi Trail Collective, it's Tom McNerney here. I just completed the Ultra Mount Blanc, better known as UTMB. It's a 107-mile race with over 30,000 feet of climbing. To run UTMB started in the fall of 2017. After my good buddy Jeff Calvert finished, I was intrigued by the race and decided to try my luck at getting into this event. So for the past 3 years, I was constantly researching races to gather the points in order to enter the lottery every year. And finally, after 3 years in COVID, I got selected and was able to come to France to run this event. This was one of the most challenging races I've ever completed in my trail running history. The climbs were tough, the downhills were tougher, and just the overall toughness of the course just really took it out of me. Some of the highlights of UTMB were running through the villages and seeing the town folks at various times, in the middle of the night, during the day, partying, having a good time, the music, the bands. It was a community effort that really embraced this event, and it was such fun to see so many strangers coming out to celebrate the runners throughout the entire course. During the race, UTMB required us to wear our race bibs on the front of our shirts. And on our race bibs that had our name and nationality. So the people throughout the race would call out the runners by name, so it really felt like they had a personal connection with you. So it really provided a lot of motivation. At this time, I want to thank my family for being with me both before the race and seeing them at the finish line. I also want to thank my extended friends and family from afar who kept me motivated through social media and messages and text messages throughout the nights and the days that I was out running. Without them, this would have been impossible. Thank you so very much.
This is your finish line. This is your history. You're now a hero. You're now a legend. Congrats.
And the toughest thing about this whole situation was this fucking interview.
All right, and the weekend ahead. Pretty busy weekend coming up. Again, as I mentioned on my own plate, Virgil Crest Ultras in Virgil, New York. We've got the Notchview Ultra 12, 24, 48 hour in Windsor, Mass. The Towers Beach Run, 5, 10, 15K in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. The Lake Ridge Endurance Run, 6-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour in Dublin, Virginia. Wicked Tough 10, 10K in McGintycook 50, 50K in Camden, Maine. Pine Creek Challenge Marathon, 50-mile, 100K, 100-miler in Wellsboro, PA. Good luck to AJW and all those partaking. Shawangum Ridge Trail, half, 30-mile, 70-mile in Rosendale, New York. Also a spectacular area. The Boulderfield 100, 10-mile, 50K, 100K in Jim Thorpe, PA, an Uber Endurance Sports event. Good luck to that crew out there. Smallfoot Trail Fest, 5K, Mifflinburg, PA. The Groton Forest Trail Run, 6.2, 15-mile, 26.5-mile in Groton, Vermont. Tungus Trail Ultramarathon, 30K, 60K in Burlington, Connecticut. And the Macedonia Trail Race, 12K, 25K, 50K in Kent, Connecticut. And then on an international front, the Ultra Trail Snowdonia in the mountainous region northwestern Wales for Trent Swanson, and the Longer Beast for Gabe Matiko. So good luck to you boys out there, and hopefully we'll get a clip in for next week. So thanks for tuning in for the Trails Collective Weekly Rundown. As always, thank you for sharing it in your own networks. Thank you to all those who are Patreon supporters of the Trails Collective. And I will check you next week. Until then, see ya!